Hello and welcome to News Central TV. My name is Mazino Appeal. Here are stories making headlines beyond the continent. The United Nations Special Rapporteur on Rapporteur on Human Rights in the Palestinian territories, Francesca Albanese, has strongly condemned former U.S. President Donald Trump's proposal for the United States to take control of the Gaza Strip, calling it utter nonsense and an incitement to forced displacement, a violation of international law. Albanese criticized Trump's announcement made during a White House press conference alongside Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, warning that such a move would set a dangerous precedent. In his statement, Trump claimed that the United States would take control of Gaza, rebuild the war-ravaged territory, and resettle its population. However, the proposal has been met with widespread condemnation, with Hamas and the Palestinian authorities denouncing it as racist and a destabilizing force in the region.
President Trump, where to start? The short answer to your question is what he proposes is utter nonsense.
Is what?
Utter nonsense. Is nonsense. And it's unlawful. What he proposes, people talk of ethnic cleansing. No, it's worse. It's worse. It's forced displacement. He's inciting to commit forced displacement, which is an international crime. Forced displacement and further dispossession, and in the context of a genocide, it will strengthen the complicity in the crimes that Israel has been committing over the past 15 months and before. It's unlawful, immoral, and irresponsible. It's completely irresponsible because it will make the regional crisis even worse. And I truly hope that people will stay calm, will not panic, and will remember that the international community is made of 193 states. And this is the time to give the US what it has been looking for: isolation.
For more on this, I'm joined by our international correspondent, Afua Hagan. Afua, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us this evening again. So, Afua, tell us what the response has been to, if you could tell us what has been the response from inside Palestine and also around the Middle East to Trump's comments on Gaza. Well, apologies there, but I do believe that we are still trying to establish connection with our international correspondent, Afua Hagan. We'll bring you that conversation with her in due time. Moving on now, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced that the Council on Canada-US Relations will hold a summit in Toronto this Friday. Following a 30-day pause on the Trump administration's proposed tariffs, the summit will focus on boosting Canada's economy, expanding internal trade, diversifying export markets, and also enhancing productivity. Trudeau's statement emphasized the importance of strengthening coordination between the two nations to achieve these goals, marking a key moment for cross-border collaboration amid ongoing trade challenges. The U.S. Postal Service has announced it will resume accepting all inbound mail and packages from China and Hong Kong starting on Wednesday. This comes after a brief suspension of service. In a statement, USPS confirmed that it is working closely with Customs and Border Protection to ensure a smooth process amid the new China tariffs, aiming to minimize disruptions to package delivery. The temporary halt had caused concerns, but the resumption will restore normal mail operations between the U.S. and the two regions. And USAID employees placed on leave from Friday, departments to be wound down. United States Agency for International Development personnel worldwide will be placed on administrative leave Friday and instructed to return to the United States. The instruction follows as the Trump administration has commenced dismantling the organization and suspending virtually all foreign assistance. For News Central, international correspondent Afua Hagan has more.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio has confirmed his appointment as acting administrator of USAID, validating the State Department's effective takeover of the humanitarian agency. In the past several days, numerous senior USAID officials have been suspended, thousands of contractors have been dismissed, and staff were informed this week to avoid reporting to the agency's Washington headquarters. Following his inauguration last month, Trump issued a comprehensive executive order suspending all foreign aid for 90 days, resulting in widespread uncertainty, redundancies, and program closures. Although the administration claims to have granted exceptions for all programs involving critical humanitarian aid and food assistance, several USAID employees and contractors have said that funding for these initiatives remains suspended. Food distribution programs are ceasing operations, healthcare services are being terminated, critical aid is being constrained with no mechanism for distribution. USAID was founded in 1961 during President John F. Kennedy's administration and serves as the US government's humanitarian branch. It allocates billions of dollars yearly worldwide to combat poverty, address diseases, and respond to famines and natural catastrophes. Elon Musk has spearheaded the Trump administration's campaign to undermine USAID, falsely labeling it a viper's nest of radical left Marxists who hate America, and denouncing it as a criminal organization that should cease to exist. The Trump administration's initiatives have prompted Democrats to question the lawfulness of any agency dissolution that will likely have a significant impact on global life-saving assistance from the United States. For News Central, I'm Afua Hagan.
And now we go back to a previous story on the UN Special Rapporteur on Human Rights, Francesca Albanese, and her remarks regarding Trump's proposal for the Gaza Strip. Now, Afua Hagan is joining us on this one. Afua, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. We missed you from earlier. But now that you're here, please tell us what has been the response from inside Palestine and around the Middle East on Trump's comments on Gaza.
Well, I'll come to the Middle East first. The Jordanian king, King Abdullah, has strongly rejected the idea of what is essentially would amount to ethnic cleansing in Palestine, to ask everybody there to leave for it to be leveled for real estate. That is essentially what President Trump is talking about. In a statement, the Jordanian royal court said on social media, His Majesty King Abdullah II stresses the need to put a stop to Israeli settlement expansion, expressing rejection of any attempts to annex land and displace the Palestinians. Now, he is scheduled to meet with Donald Trump in the White House next week on February the 11th, and I'm sure that will be high on the agenda. Now, Saudi Arabia has also rejected this idea. The Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has affirmed the kingdom's position in a clear and explicit manner that does not allow for interpretation under any circumstances. So Saudi Arabia, Egypt and Jordan all rejecting this idea of removing the Palestinian people from their land. Palestinians themselves have been talking about this with various news agencies and social media, and the general consensus is that even though Palestine at the moment and Gaza at the moment is in ruins, they would rather stay there and rebuild than be displaced. One person I had saying that they'd rather stay there in hell than go anywhere else. Now, far-right Israeli politician Ben Gvir, as part of the Israeli government, has actually praised this idea and said that it's the only solution, and he has been long advocating for Israel to have that land and to get rid of the Palestinian people that live there at the moment. So really mixed reactions from around the Middle East, but mostly those of condemnation and really pouring scorn on this idea.
And what about the response from the rest of the world?
Yeah, the international community, again, the UN has warned against a forcible transfer in Gaza, this Riviera idea that the US president has, saying that it's not the solution. They said that it's crucial that we move towards the next phase of the ceasefire to release all hostages and detained prisoners in the war and reconstruct Gaza. And there is real concerns that this rhetoric coming from the White House could actually put that peace process in grave danger. That is a real concern at the moment. We're supposed to be in negotiations for phase 2 of that peace process. Now, the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer today at Prime Minister's Questions reiterated Britain's support for the two-state solution, as have other politicians around the world. Now, within the United States, there's been widespread outrage, from Democratic politicians about this Trump proposal. Even some Republican senators, also Senator Lindsey Graham, said a potential American takeover of Gaza would be problematic. Another US Senator, Tom Tills, said that Trump's idea was a bit of a stretch.
Mm-hmm. A bit of a stretch indeed. How plausible is it that the US could take over Gaza in the way that Trump has described it? Just humor me.
The most important thing to note about this, first of all, is that under international law, attempts to forcibly remove, transfer, get rid of populations is strictly prohibited. So it wouldn't be allowed under international law. That's absolutely number one. This isn't, a piece of land in Los Angeles or Ohio or New Mexico that Trump is talking about. You cannot just march in, buy it, and redevelop it for real estate, Riviera of the Middle East or whatever he called it. It's not actually possible. That is number one. And number two, it amounts to ethnic cleansing. That is what it is. And that, again, is illegal under international law. And the other questions that arise from this is, how would it be enforced? Are you going to put US troops and boots on the ground to get rid of Palestinian people? What about people that want to stay there? Are they going to have a choice in this? Is this permanent or is it temporary? Now, yesterday when Trump was talking about this, he seemed to iterate that this would be a permanent solution, that the US would buy Gaza. But the White House press secretary, Karen Leavitt, just gave a briefing in the past hour where she reiterated the word temporary so many times when she was asked about this. So that's a bit of a shift of position from yesterday. But the point is that it would be against international law to try and do this in the first place. So does he mean it, or is this just sort of a play that he is making to try and force other solutions from partners around the Middle East? I guess we'll see how that plays out in the next few days.
Well, then, Afua, thank you very much for joining us to give us your, more insight into the situation. Moving on now, a United Nations employee, Tanya Kunushi, has launched a campaign to raise funds for her World Health Organization, in response to the United States' decision to withdraw as the agency's largest donor. The $1 One World campaign has already raised nearly $100,000 in just 10 days. Sanusi aims to collect $1 billion, an amount close to the U.S. contribution to the 2022 to 2023 period, which totaled $1.3 billion, accounting for roughly 16% of WHO's budget. The fundraiser comes at a critical time for the organization as it seeks alternative funding sources following the loss of a major financial backer.
It was just after the announcement of the U.S. Withdrawal from WHO. As many, I was disturbed by the news. I've worked all my life in the UN system and in non-governmental organizations, and I believe in what I do, and so I woke up in the morning and thought of the campaign and asked whether I could go ahead, and nobody stopped. So I'm asking for $1 from 1 billion people for $1 billion in total, but people can give more. So people have been giving 1, 5, 10, 100. We have about 20 who have given more than $500, and we're expecting a big donation in the coming days of $20,000, which would be great. That would take us to 100,000 in 10 days. The major donors right now are coming from the US, Switzerland, France, Germany, Italy. I think Sweden was another country that was giving a lot, but we're really getting a lot of donations.
In South America, Argentina has announced its decision to withdraw from the World Health Organization following the United States' exit from the agency last month. The move, driven by President Javier Milei's administration, stems from significant disagreements over health management during the COVID-19 pandemic. The government argues that pulling out will allow Argentina to have more control over local health policies and ensure better allocation of resources. Milei, known for his anarcho-capitalist stance and admiration for former U.S. President Donald Trump, has implemented strict austerity measures since taking office in December 2023. These measures have led to increased poverty, but also a record trade surplus for the country. The exit could further strain global health funding, as both Argentina and the U.S. are major contributors to the WHO.
Que el presidente Milei instruyó al canciller Gerardo Wertheim para retirar la participación de la Argentina en la Organización Mundial de la Salud. La misma se sustenta en las profundas diferencias respecto, por supuesto, a la gestión sanitaria, especialmente durante la pandemia, que junto al...
Still in North America, a prison riot in Villahermosa, the capital of Tabasco State, has left 7 people dead. The incident, which occurred in a state already grappling with escalating crime violence, is under investigation by the local prosecutor's office. Local reports said the violence erupted from a confrontation between rival criminal groups within the facility. This latest outbreak follows a similar riot in December that also claimed 7 lives. In recent months, Tabasco has witnessed a surge in violent crime with 2 separate gun attacks on bars in Villahermosa in late 2024, resulting in 13 fatalities. Violence linked to drug cartels has led to the deaths of more than 480,000 people since the Mexican government intensified its crackdown on trafficking in 2006. We're on a short break now. When we return, President Milei announces withdrawal from the Global Health Agency. This and more after. Welcome back. Now, Sweden is in shock after its deadliest mass shooting to date, which claimed the lives of 10 people, as well as the suspected gunman. In Örebro, the attack took place at Campus Risberska, an adult education center, on Tuesday. Police have confirmed 11 deaths, including the gunman, although reports suggest he may have taken his own life. 6 others were injured, with 5 undergoing surgery for gunshot wounds and a serious but stable condition. The motive remains unclear, but police believe the shooter acted alone and had no known gang affiliations. Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson described the attack as the worst mass shooting in Swedish history. The attacker was not previously known to police, and authorities have ruled out further attacks.
Sen handlar det också om en omfattande utredningsarbete. Vi tror fortfarande att vi har den primära gärningspersonen, även om vi inte utesluter fler med koppling. Han är för polisen inte känd av oss sedan tidigare och har ingen koppling till något gäng, utan vad vi tror är att det är en ensamagerande gärningsperson. I nuläget så tror vi oss inte att det är något terrormotiv bakom, men jag vill också poängtera att vi är ju väldigt tidigt inne i utredningen.
Now let's head to Asia, where we understand that the Philippines House of Representatives voted to impeach Vice President Sara Duterte following a series of allegations against her. The vote sets the stage for a Senate trial where 2/3 of senators must support her removal from office. The impeachment stems from complaints filed in December accusing Duterte of misusing millions of public funds and allegedly plotting the assassination of President Ferdinand Marcos. The motion passed with 215 votes in favor, marking a significant moment in the country's political landscape. Duterte's fate now lies in the Senate. While a trial date has not been set, the decision comes just days before the midterm election campaign, a crucial period expected to shape the 2028 presidential race.
There is a motion to direct the Secretary General to immediately endorse to the Senate the impeachment complaint, having been filed by more than 1/3 of the membership of the House, or a total of 215 members. Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The Secretary General is so directed. The session is suspended.
The total number of House members who verified and swore before me this impeachment complaint is 215 House members.
Finally, China's President Xi Jinping and Pakistani President Asif Ali Zardari met in Beijing's Great Hall of the People, vowing to further enhance the strong bilateral relationship between their countries. Following a ceremonial welcome, the two leaders signed 17 agreements aimed at deepening cooperation in areas like solar energy and regional development. The agreements reflect both nations' commitments to fostering closer ties and addressing shared goals for sustainable progress and economic growth.
巴基斯坦是铁杆朋友和全天候战略合作伙伴，历久弥坚的中巴传统友谊，由两国老一辈领导人亲自缔造，是两国和两国人民的宝贵财富。近年来，双方坚定相互政治支持，保持密切高层交往，深入推进中巴经济走廊建设和各领域合作。
And that's all on Beyond the Continent this evening. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and of course on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. My name is Mazino Appeal.